God is the universe, and the universe is divinity incarnate. There is no separation between the two. That's the general premise of pantheism. To break it down for the simpler amongst you, the universe is really fucking sick, man, and deserves our utmost reverence. But if only it were that simple. Just like all worldviews, pantheism comes in many different forms, and so to leave it there would be oversimplifying it a little. You know what us humans are like? Nothing's ever simple with us, is it? Depending on the way you decide to wield this particular philosophy, it can be shared in three different ways. The first way involves an uncalled for resizing that fits snugly in your jacket pocket, showcaseable to the world at any given moment with a fleeting flash and a smug smirk of contrived knowing. This approach is unrecommended, as you'll merely plant a half-baked idea into someone's mind and add to the world's utter fucking ignorant statistic table. That, or the person will see straight through you, and disregard your feeble rehashing. Rightfully so. Either way, the outcome is unfavourable. The second way involves leaving the ideology untouched, but forcing it into your jacket pocket nonetheless. Ramming it in there, you know. Rip the seams now, wouldn't you? God damn, you've ruined a perfectly fine jacket, wouldn't you? Why did you do that? Again, this particular mode of expression is unrecommended, as even though you tried your best in this particular circumstance and are clearly blessed with humility, you're not blessed with a sense of timing, presentation and setting, which is absolutely vital if you plan to avoid wasting your time on ignoramuses. The third way involves carrying the fucking thing round in a bag where it belongs, and only getting it out in appropriate settings with like-minded people that will appreciate the enormity of the subject matter you're bringing to the table. This is obviously the best way to go, but not necessarily the way I've chosen by putting this presentation on YouTube. Look, what I'm getting at is this. Pantheism's a complicated headfuck that will leave the minds of undereducated cretins and overeducated snobs spinning. But not to fret, because I'm neither. So I claim. And hopefully neither are you. But for all the extremists lurking on the outer edges of our doomed society, let me break it down for you. As a fair warning, if the thought of logic and intuition coming out of the same mouth sends your conditioned little mind recoiling, then I highly recommend buggering off now. So let's start our dance with logic, i.e. materialism, i.e. naturalistic pantheism. And this is arguably the easiest type of pantheism to understand, so is the most fitting way to ease us into this roller coaster ride of conceptual headfuckery. Think of this as the rise before the fall. You know, the bit where you're like, oh, well, guys, this ain't so bad after all. This is quite soothing. This is quite relaxing. Up we go. Oh, yeah. This is quite fun. Yeah. Oh, nice view. Nice view. Oh, we're getting quite high now. I'm still enjoying myself, though. Oh, God. I'm getting quite high now. Oh, God. Then you reach the top, and you look down. And you dropped at G-force speeds down a small black tunnel surrounded by maniacal screams fueled by pure instinctual exhilaration / fear. So anyway, naturalistic pantheism is the type of pantheism that Richard Dawkins would politely wave to if he saw it approaching him on the other side of the street, perhaps even calling out, "Hiya!" and exchanging a quick smile and nod as they passed. In fact, the king of atheists himself once referred to naturalistic pantheism as simply a sexed up atheism. What's he like? Eh? Old Dawkins. He's got a cheeky little mind, hasn't he? Cheeky little mind. Eh? Really? Dawkins. Love him. Don't take the piss. I do actually like Dawkins, so don't take that as me being sarcastic, because I'm not. I really like the God Delusion. I also really like the Dawkins Delusion, that's a good book too. You see, I'm very open-minded, I like to see things from both sides. As a quick side note, Mr. Dawkins doesn't actually see himself as an atheist at all. He's a self-confessed agnostic. But, as many undereducated atheists tend to do, they totally missed the fucking point and lumped him in a category he doesn't even belong in. Now, don't get me wrong, Mr. Dawkins doesn't openly advocate naturalistic pantheism, but he's certainly not violently opposed to it like he is with nearly every other worldview. Why? Well, let's make this abundantly clear from the get-go. Naturalistic pantheism is less of a dogmatic religion of worship and more of a way of seeing shit. It's the idea that matter/energy is all there is, and so naturally it's the only spiritual essence that can possibly exist, if you could even call it such a thing. Yes, indeed, some of the more fringe supporters of this stance call this essence of everything God, although the words used merely as a metaphor to express the wonder and amazement that the universe elicits within them. Nothing more than that. It's a word to paint a picture, not a word to inspire thoughts of a supernatural consciousness overseeing whether or not you've been naughty or nice like some crazed narcissistic Santa Claus on crack. However, most naturalistic pantheists despise the religious connotations of this word and will slap you upside the head for what, in their eyes, is you muddying the bloody waters. And I suppose you can't blame them for feeling like that, really. God is such a loaded, multi-purpose word covering the meaning of literally hundreds of different concepts, mostly supernatural, that to use it in the context of something completely naturalistic is silly at best and ludicrously misleading at worst. So let's break this down another level. For the naturalistic pantheist, the universe is governed by impersonal physical processes alone. There's no higher intelligence thinking the next move through, or a range of deities having a chinwag behind the scenes about what cosmic drama should unfold next in the ever-developing soap opera called the universe. But the point is this. This seeming lack of overall direction or meaning doesn't make all of this any less fucking awesome to them. From their perspective, it's like the jigsaw puzzle that pieced itself together with no help from hands directed by a conscious mind. It's like the Rubik's Cube that solved itself. It's like the machine that became self-aware and took over the entire human race in a sudden spark of purely mechanistic inspiration. And to the naturalistic pantheist, that's 10 times more jizz-inducing than the cop-out of some grand intelligent mind orchestrating the whole thing from its director's chair up in the heavens, saying, yeah, I don't like him, I'm bored of him, get him off my stage. That's a metaphor for death there. I'm bored, says God. Oh, what can I do? Bit of thunder, boom! Bit of worldwide carnage, kazam! Tsunamis, earthquakes, that's entertainment. That's a metaphor for God's entertainment. Bit of a cunt, really, isn't he? And that is not me saying that. That's coming from my 9th dimensional higher self on Sirius. That's official info from the heavens. God is a cunt. Suppose it was on the Syrian news headlines this morning on the front page of the newspaper. God is a cunt, yeah. I know, we all suspected it, didn't we? But now it's confirmed. I love you really, God. He'll forgive me. He knows I'm just playing with him. Don't ya, Dave? See, me and God, we're on first name basis. We're pretty fucking cool with one another, so we can have a little play around like this. But just to clarify, God's not a cunt. God's actually a comedian. Full-blown comedian. A really funny bloke, actually. I mean, how can he not be? He created nipples and pears and all sorts of other crazy shit, like, you know, that monkey with the cock for a nose? I mean, come on. The guy's a funny bloke. In other words, yes, naturalistic pantheists surrender themselves to the mind-bending, bewildering craziness of the universe. Some even go as far as devoting themselves to forms of naturalistic worship, but regardless of that, they still believe that this whole thing can be explained with the tools of science and the probing, inquisitive mind leading the charge. And what they suspect we'll find at the end of this charge, if we give ourselves a chance to get there, or if there is a there at all, is that this thing we call the universe caused itself. Just because. No higher meaning, no greater power, no overseer wanting to hold us tight close to its bosom, rocking us gently back and forth for the rest of eternity. Just the awesomeness of physics in motion and the nature of infinity making sweet, sweet love in a never-ending dance of reformation. And, yeah, it's kind of beautiful in my opinion. I don't necessarily hold the same viewpoint, but it's beautiful nonetheless. These people don't need a predestined meaning handed down from above for them to etch their own subjective meaning onto life. And so, to round up, I'll paraphrase a great quote from Douglas Adams, which sums up the naturalistic, pantheistic mindset brilliantly. The naturalistic pantheist doesn't need to see fairies at the bottom of their garden to revel in the astonishing beauty of the garden in naturalness alone. So good on 'em, I say. Yeah.